The dermatologist doing my mole check asked me to stay calm while she explained why my skin cells were now carrying someone else's genetic markers. I've been seeing Dr. Walsh every 6 months for 3 years because melanoma runs in my family. The routine is always the same. She checks every mole, takes comparison photos, and I'm out in 20 minutes. But this visit, Dr. Walsh stopped mid-examination while looking at a cluster of freckles on my left shoulder blade. She excused herself without explanation, and when she returned 15 minutes later, another dermatologist was with her. They both examined the same spot before asking permission for a tissue sample. The biopsy results came back while I was still in the office. Dr. Walsh closed the examination room door and sat down across from me with an expression that made my stomach drop. "I need you to stay very calm," she said, pulling up comparison photos on her tablet. "These freckles have been stable for 3 years, but today's sample shows something impossible. The skin cells in this area are carrying genetic markers that don't match your DNA profile from previous tests." I asked what that meant, and she explained that every cell in my body should have identical DNA, but the cells from my shoulder blade showed different genetic markers, as if someone else's skin was growing on my body. She asked about skin grafts, transplants, any medical procedures in the past 6 months. I told her no, nothing like that. She showed me the lab results, my original DNA sequence next to the new sequence from my shoulder, 2 completely different people. Dr. Walsh immediately called a geneticist colleague at the university hospital. Dr. Lin arrived within an hour and ran additional tests, taking samples from different areas of my body. The results showed approximately 30% of my skin cells now carried this foreign genetic profile, with higher percentages in areas exposed to sun or friction. She kept pressing me about medical procedures, cosmetic treatments, anything I'd applied to my skin recently. That's when I remembered the free anti-aging serum samples from the pop-up shop at Westfield Mall 8 weeks ago. Valley Fresh Cosmetics had set up a promotional booth offering complimentary skin consultations and free samples of their revolutionary cellular renewal serum. A woman in a white lab coat had analyzed my skin with a handheld device, then given me 3 bottles of serum with instructions to apply it daily. The serum had tingled when I first used it, and my skin was sensitive for several days afterward, but then it looked incredible, clearer, smoother, younger than it had in years. I'd actually gone back to thank them and get more bottles, but the booth was already gone. Dr. Lin's face went completely pale when I described the serum. She immediately contacted the state medical board and the FDA, explaining that what I was describing sounded like unauthorized cellular therapy. Within hours, investigators were at the dermatologist's office collecting my samples and asking detailed questions about Valley Fresh Cosmetics. The investigation moved faster than I could process. The FDA revealed that the anti-aging serum contained live fibroblast cells, actual skin cells from young donors that were supposed to be used only in regulated medical procedures for burn victims and surgical reconstruction patients. Valley Fresh had been harvesting cells from paid donors, packaging them as cosmetic products, and distributing them at malls to test whether healthy recipients would accept and integrate the foreign cells. The serum's tingling sensation was my immune system initially fighting the invasion before the cells successfully grafted into my skin's dermal layer. The foreign cells were literally colonizing my epidermis, replacing my original skin cells with cells from complete strangers. I'd been growing someone else's skin for 2 months without knowing it. The FDA raid on Valley Fresh's distribution warehouse uncovered hundreds of vials containing cellular material from 23 different donors, along with detailed records showing they distributed free samples to over 2,000 people across 8 states through their traveling mall booth operation. I was one of 40 people who'd already reported unusual skin changes to doctors, but most recipients probably hadn't noticed anything wrong yet since the foreign cells were healthy and functioning normally. They were just producing skin that genetically belonged to someone else. Valley Fresh's executives defended themselves by claiming they were revolutionizing accessible regenerative medicine and democratizing anti-aging treatments, but prosecutors called it what it actually was, an unauthorized human trial using unwitting test subjects. The FDA shut down their operation within 48 hours, seized all their materials, and filed criminal charges, but they couldn't reverse what had already been done to the people who'd used the serum. Dr. Lin explained the permanent reality I was now facing. The foreign cells had successfully integrated into my skin's natural regenerative system. Every time my skin cells naturally die and renew themselves, which happens constantly, some percentage of those new cells would carry the stranger's DNA instead of mine. The foreign cell percentage has stabilized at 35%, meaning more than a third of my skin is technically not mine anymore. The investigators eventually found records showing my sample batch came from a 22-year-old graduate student named Kayla, who'd sold her cells for $600 to pay rent.